Umaru is a beautiful girl. Wherever she goes, she always attracts people's attention. And she's also very kind and likes to help others. So, Umaru is seen by everyone as a perfect girl. But, every time she gets home, Umaru immediately turns into a lazy and useless girl. She only knows how to rely on her older brother. At dinner time, Umaru is still lazily watching videos on the Onichan review channel. So, Taihei scolds her and tells her to quickly eat. Suddenly, Umaru remembers that today is the release day of a new One Piece manga chapter. So, she asks Taihei to go buy it for her. Taihei refuses and tells her to go buy it herself. But, Umaru says that at school, she pretends to be a studious person who doesn't read manga. So, she can't let people know about her double life. This makes Taihei angry and he still refuses. Suddenly, Umaru jumps onto the bed. She continuously rolls around and screams to force Taihei to go buy the manga for her. It turns out that Umaru has been living with Taihei for a year now. And she's gradually become a lazy girl. So, Taihei decided not to give in this time. Umaru realized that this time he wouldn't be easily swayed by her. So, she started begging Taihei. But, Taihei still refused. This made Umaru cry louder and scream even more. In the end, he had to run to the store to buy the manga for Umaru. But, Umaru was still not satisfied. Because Taihei forgot to buy her potato chips. This made Taihei angry. The next morning, Umaru's friends noticed her face was a bit red. So, everyone thought she was bullied by her older brother. And they all thought Taihei was a terrible brother. At that moment, Umaru was talking to her two hamsters. But, they didn't understand anything. While Taihei was curious about what Umaru was doing, Umaru said that she was teaching her two hamsters some tricks. It turns out there was a prize of 1 million yen on TV for the pet video clip with the most views. So, Umaru thought about buying a lot of gaming consoles. But, her real goal was to turn the hamsters into her servants. At that moment, Taihei was cleaning the hamster cage. Suddenly, Taihei remembered 6 months ago. Umaru really liked the hamsters. So, she asked Taihei to buy them for her. But, Taihei immediately refused. Suddenly, Umaru pretended to be about to cry. This made everyone around hate Taihei. Because they thought he was bullying Umaru. So, Taihei was forced to buy her the two hamsters. But, he remembered that Umaru never cleaned their cage. Suddenly, he saw Umaru live streaming herself sleeping with the hamsters. So, he thought that was okay too. However, at night, Taihei couldn't sleep. Because Umaru stayed up browsing the web all night. The next morning, Umaru was heading to school in her outdoor mode. She was still attracting a lot of attention from everyone. While Abina felt that people were looking at Umaru because she was beautiful. But, Umaru said that Abina was also very cute. Which made Abina embarrassed. At that moment, Umaru's class was checking their test scores. Suddenly, Silin came to tease Umaru. Because she got 99 points. Unexpectedly, Umaru got 100 points. Which shocked Silin. But, she said that next time, she would win. While Abina only got 28 points. Umaru excelled in all sports and music, making everyone admire her. At that moment, Abina felt that Umaru was a very amazing person. So, she wished she could be like Umaru. It turns out that Umaru and Abina live in the same apartment building. When Umaru got home, she immediately switched to indoor mode. And Umaru turned on her computer to play games. While Taihei couldn't understand why Umaru's grades were so high, even though he never saw her study. At that moment, Umaru had bought a lot of snacks. It turns out she spent an hour choosing food at the convenience store. So, she could eat and watch anime at the same time. Which made Umaru very happy. When she combined different snacks and drank cola, it made Umaru feel very satisfied. Suddenly, Taihei called Umaru for dinner. It turns out Taihei had made steak for Umaru. Because yesterday she kept asking for food. But, Umaru was already too full. So, Taihei had to eat everything by himself. At that moment, Umaru and Taihei were playing a zombie shooting game together. But, Taihei was playing terribly. So, they lost the game. When Umaru wanted to play another round, Taihei said they had to go to the supermarket to buy food for the week. Which made Umaru feel annoyed. At that moment, Taihei felt that Umaru became a completely different person when she was outside. And she always attracted everyone's attention. But Umaru was still angry with Taihei. So, she bought a lot of snacks. This made Taihei carry 2 heavy bags of snacks. Suddenly, Taihei remembered that he had promised to play games with Umaru all day. So, Taihei said, "Let's go home and continue playing games," which made Umaru happy again. But Taihei was so bad at the game that they kept losing. The next evening, when Taihei got back from work, he felt very tired. Taihei thought he would have to cook for Umaru again. But today, Taihei noticed something unusual about Umaru. It turns out that Abina was there, which surprised Taihei, because Umaru had cleaned up the entire room. When Abina saw Taihei, she felt very embarrassed. Taihei realized that Umaru had cleaned everything by herself. So, he suggested that Abina come over more often, because he thought it would help Umaru become more independent. Meanwhile, Abina felt very embarrassed, because she thought Taihei liked her. After Abina left, Umaru immediately took out a cola to drink, which made her very happy. Taihei mentioned that he had bought takoyaki for her, making Umaru very pleased, because Taihei thought Umaru had done a good job today. Unexpectedly, he discovered that Umaru had stuffed everything into the closet. This made Taihei angry, while Abina was feeling that Taihei was a very kind person. The next day, Umaru played games until morning, which made her very tired. So, Umaru drank a cola. At that moment, Umaru saw Taihei sleeping soundly. She realized that Taihei always came home looking exhausted. But Umaru still woke Taihei up, because she needed someone to play games with her. But Taihei continued to sleep. Umaru saw Taihei's tired face. So, she decided to let Taihei sleep a bit longer. Suddenly, Umaru also fell asleep next to Taihei, which surprised Taihei. It turns out Umaru thought that this would prevent Taihei from sleeping. But Umaru ended up falling asleep herself. Taihei realized that recently, Umaru had been playing games alone. So, Taihei also went back to sleep. When Umaru woke up, she regretted that Taihei had let her sleep, because it made her miss her morning anime. The next day, Umaru and Abina were going to school together. Suddenly, they received a flyer for a rock-paper-scissors contest, which made Umaru very excited. So, Umaru immediately asked Taihei to join the contest with her. But Taihei didn't understand why Umaru wouldn't go by herself. Umaru put on a cute face and said that she wanted to help Taihei enjoy his day off. He realized he hadn't been spending much time with Umaru. So, Taihei agreed. Unexpectedly, Umaru made Taihei stand in line for her and help her increase her chances of winning, which made him annoyed. At that moment, the contest began. Unexpectedly, Taihei and Abina made it to the finals. So, they had to compete against each other, which made Abina feel embarrassed. In the end, Taihei won. Taihei saw that Abina looked shy. He thought Abina was feeling disappointed. So, Taihei gave her the cat doll as a prize, which made Abina even more embarrassed. When she left, Taihei saw Umaru's angry face, because Taihei had given her cat doll to Abina, while Abina was very happy. A few days later, Taihei had to buy another cat doll for Umaru. At that moment, Umaru discovered a new game. So, she asked Taihei to buy it for her. But Taihei refused. Suddenly, Umaru wanted to go shopping with Taihei, because she thought Taihei wouldn't be able to refuse her in public. However, Taihei also figured out her plan. At that moment, Taihei entered the supermarket. Suddenly, they ran into Abina, which shocked Umaru. So, she switched modes and talked to Abina. Taihei realized that Umaru had switched to outdoor mode. So, he invited Abina to have lunch, which made Umaru annoyed. Taihei noticed that if Umaru stayed close to Abina, she wouldn't be able to ask for the game. Meanwhile, Abina was feeling very embarrassed. Umaru still tried to find a way to get Taihei to buy the game for her, which made her frustrated, because Taihei wasn't paying attention to her. So, she kept insisting that Taihei buy the game. Suddenly, Umaru remembered that Abina was there. She thought that Abina might have noticed her other side. Unexpectedly, Abina was just enjoying the food there. So, she still hadn't realized Umaru's double life. In the end, Taihei had to buy the game for Umaru, which made her very happy. The next morning, Abina was waiting for Umaru to go to school, and she remembered about a year ago, Abina's family was discussing her upcoming move to Tokyo. which made Abina's parents worried, because Abina is very clumsy. Although Abina was also anxious. When she arrived, Abina met Taihei, which made Abina embarrassed, because Taihei was very friendly to her. Since then, Abina has liked Taihei. At that moment, Umaru was ready. She saw Taihei, which made Abina feel shy. After that, they went to school together. At that moment, Umaru had finished the math assignment from the teacher, which made her very pleased. So, Silin continued to challenge Umaru. Because the midterm exams were approaching. Suddenly, Umaru noticed Kiri looking at her with an annoyed expression. Meanwhile, Abina was feeling very anxious, because their midterm exams were coming up. So, Umaru comforted her, helping Abina regain her confidence. But, when Umaru got home, she immediately started playing games. Taihei realized that Umaru had an upcoming exam. So, he mentioned that the midterm would have a lot of tricky questions to provoke Umaru, making Umaru anxious. That night, Umaru dreamed that she was fighting in a game, and she was surpassed by Silin, causing Umaru to wake up in fear. So, Umaru jumped on Taihei to ask Taihei to help her. At this time, Taihei had started tutoring Umaru. A few days later, Umaru won first place in the test, surprising everyone, while the boys in the class admired Umaru because she was a perfect girl. Everyone thought Umaru's background was also impressive. They thought Umaru's father was the president of the Doma Corporation. But, there were still two people who disliked Umaru. Those were Silin and Kiri. At this moment, Kiri was staring at Umaru, causing everyone to worry, because they thought Kiri was very dangerous. But, Umaru was very curious about Kiri. So, she wanted to try talking to Kiri. Abina also noticed that Kiri was always paying attention to Umaru everywhere. It turned out that previously, Abina had also invited Kiri to lunch with Umaru. But, she wasn't interested. Nevertheless, Abina felt that Kiri wasn't too scary. When Umaru returned home, she opened the modes in the house. Suddenly, Umaru felt hungry, because Taihei came home late today. She thought Taihei was at the supermarket buying meat for her, which made her very happy. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell. Umaru thought her brother had returned. To her surprise, it was Kiri, making Umaru anxious. Suddenly, Kiri saw Umaru and found her very cute. Then, Umaru invited Kiri into the house. It turned out Kiri didn't recognize Umaru, because she thought this girl was Umaru's younger sister. So she introduced herself as Kamaru, Umaru's younger sister. Kiri then asked what time Umaru would be back. But, she said Umaru didn't live here. She didn't understand why Kiri wanted to find Umaru. It turned out Kiri had been watching Umaru to return Umaru's student ID. But, Kiri didn't know how to talk to Umaru. So, Umaru thanked Kiri, shocking Kiri. She thought Kamaru was accepting her as a disciple. So, she called Kamaru master. Suddenly, Taihei returned, surprising him, because Umaru had a new friend today. Suddenly, Kiri looked at Taihei with a cold gaze, making him frightened. Umaru noticed that Kiri was too timid. So, she could only talk to children. The next morning, Umaru continued to win first place in swimming, making Silin envious, while Kiri saw that Umaru was very beautiful, and she imagined Umaru inviting her to walk home together. At this moment, Kiri had come to play with Kamaru, because Kiri thought that if she became close with Kamaru, she and Umaru would become closer. The next day, everyone saw Kiri still being very cold. Suddenly, Umaru ran over to talk to Kiri. Surprising everyone, she thanked Kiri for playing with her little sister, making Kiri very happy. After that, they went home together. But, Kiri saw Abina. She then felt jealous of Abina, because Abina was always close with Umaru. So, Kiri ran away. The next day, Kiri continued to look for Kamaru. She told Kamaru, "I have a rival that needs to be eliminated." After that, Taihei invited Kiri to dinner. The next morning, Umaru and Abina were walking to school together. Suddenly, she noticed a game store nearby. So, Umaru decided to go into the game store, surprising everyone, because they realized Umaru was the player named Umr. She always topped the leaderboards in all types of games, and she was a master of claw machines. She could even win all the prizes with just one coin. So, she was considered the most dangerous gamer. the game room manager noticed Umaru was eyeing a new stuffed animal. But this employee believed Umaru wouldn't be able to get it, because he had placed it in an unreachable position. Unexpectedly, she managed to grab it, shocking this employee, because Umaru was able to win 3 stuffed animals in one go. After that, Kamaru continued to pay attention to another model. This time, the employee believed Umaru wouldn't be able to win. Unexpectedly, Umaru was still able to grab the model box, shocking the employee. Suddenly, Umaru walked over to them with a cute expression, and she wanted more prizes. Although Umaru was very adorable, they were determined not to let her have any more prizes. Unexpectedly, Umaru still won all their prizes, leaving them in despair. That evening, Taihei saw Umaru bringing home many stuffed animals, making him feel helpless. The next morning, Taihei called Umaru to wake up for school, because today she has a tennis class. But Umaru didn't want to go to school. At this time, everyone admired Umaru, because she looked great in her tennis uniform. Umaru remembered that she always played tennis in the game. First, they learned to get familiar with the ball. Umaru found it easy. Suddenly, Silin challenged Umaru again, so they began to compete against each other. Umaru and Kiri were on one team. Silin and Abina were on another team. At this moment, Silin was determined to beat Umaru. So, she hit the ball first, making Umaru unable to catch it. Fortunately, Kiri managed to hit the ball, surprising Silin, while Abina was worried, because she didn't know how to hit the ball. Umaru noticed that Abina was having trouble. So, she served the ball gently. But Silin immediately blocked it, causing her to hit the wall. Umaru didn't understand why Silin was trying so hard to beat her. So, they continued to compete against each other. Umaru saw that Silin was very excited. When Taihei came home, he saw that Umaru was very tired. The next morning, Taihei received a gift from a colleague, surprising him. It turned out the gift was a cat-shaped ornament. But Umaru thought it wasn't cute at all. Taihei warned Umaru not to break it. The next day, Umaru was playing with 2 hamsters. So, she took Taihei's cat-shaped ornament to play with. Unexpectedly, Umaru broke it, shocking her. She was worried that Taihei would be angry with her. So, she looked for a way to fix it, because she was very good at art class. Umaru used glue to repair the cat ornament. Suddenly, she realized she didn't remember the cat's face. So, she drew it to look like Pikachu, making Umaru worried, because she still couldn't remember. That evening, Taihei came home. Umaru apologized to him, but Taihei wasn't angry with Umaru, because she took responsibility for her mistake. However, he discovered that Umaru had used his credit card to buy repair supplies, making him angry. The next day, Umaru was playing a game. Taihei saw that Umaru was analyzing her game combos. It turned out Umaru wanted to participate in a gaming tournament. So, Umaru invited Taihei to go with her, while he waited for Umaru to register. Suddenly, Taihei met Alex. At that moment, the competition began, making everyone very excited. Suddenly, they introduced Umr, the champion of the game room, surprising Taihei, because she was Umaru. At that time, Umaru's opponents also appeared. She realized they were all world-renowned gamers. To her surprise, Silin was also participating in the tournament, making Umaru astonished. At this point, Umaru had won. Then it was Silin's turn. Umaru realized Silin also loved to play games. The finals arrived quickly. Umr would face off against Silin. But she didn't recognize that Umr was Umaru. So, they fought against each other. Umaru noticed that Silin was very skilled at the 5th combo. And that was the combo she was the worst at. Umaru thought she was about to lose. Suddenly, she realized Taihei was still watching her. So, she couldn't afford to lose. Silin saw Alex, making her flustered. So, she shyly ran away. In the end, the winner was Umaru, leaving her completely confused. At that moment, Alex chased after Silin. It turned out Alex was her brother. The next morning, Umaru was still thinking about Silin. Suddenly, she challenged Umaru again, making Umaru feel relieved, because Silin was back to normal. After the final exams, Umaru continued to place first, making everyone admire her, while Abina ranked 298th. Suddenly, Silin appeared. She said that next time, she wouldn't lose to Umaru. Since summer had arrived, everyone asked what Umaru would do for the summer. After that, Umaru went back to the game store. Because here, she wouldn't be disturbed. Suddenly, Silin appeared. Umaru put on Umar's mask. So, Silin didn't recognize that Umar was Umaru. She said she would defeat Umar. So, Silin challenged Umaru to a jackpot game. Suddenly, Silin landed on the 5,000 coin slot, surprising Umaru, because it was the first time she had seen someone win so many coins. So, they gave all the coins to the old man next to them. And they continued to play another game together. But, Silin still couldn't determine a winner against Umaru. At this point, Umaru didn't understand why Silin wanted to win so badly. Because Umaru was just there to enjoy the game. After that, Umaru gave Silin her badge, considering that she had won, making Silin very happy. So, she decided to befriend Umar. And she wanted Umar to help her defeat Umaru. While Taihei was feeling very exhausted, because the weather was too hot today. At this moment, Umaru was playing games with Kiri. She felt very comfortable spending summer indoors. Kiri went to get some water for Umaru, making her very happy, because Umaru was being taken care of by Kiri. At that moment, Umaru felt very relaxed. So, she fell asleep, while Kiri was very excited, because Kamaru was too cute. So, she tried to touch Kamaru, making her very happy. Suddenly climbing on Kiri, she saw that Kamaru was too adorable. So, Kiri fainted. At that moment, Kiri dreamed that she was at the beach with Kamaru. While both of them were sleeping soundly, Taihei returned home. He saw the air conditioner set to 19 degrees, making Taihei uncomfortable. So, he opened the window, causing both of them to wake up. That evening, Umaru was comfortably soaking in the bathtub. Next to her were a game console, comics, and chips, making Umaru very happy. Suddenly, she realized the soap was out. But, Taihei wouldn't allow Umaru to use much soap, and he had hidden all the soap away. So, Umaru decided to secretly take more soap. Luckily, she wasn't caught by Taihei. So, Umaru enjoyed her soapy bath. At this moment, Umaru felt hot and breathless. That was when she drank cola, making Umaru very delighted. When she was about to drink some more milk coffee, suddenly, Umaru slipped in her own puddle. So, the next morning, Taihei had to wash a lot of clothes. At that moment, Taihei realized that Umaru only had one type of hamster plush toy. Thus, he gave Umaru some money, so she could buy more clothes to wear outside. But, Umaru only wanted to spend it on the game. At that time, Umaru invited Abina and Kiri to go shopping with her. But, Kiri didn't want to go with Abina. After that, they all went together to pick out clothes. But, Umaru noticed that the items here were very expensive. She could buy 50 bottles of cola for one shirt. Suddenly, Umaru saw that Kiri and Abina still weren't close to each other. So, she decided to help them. After that, all three of them tried on clothes, making them very happy, because the clothes here were very cute. At that moment, Umaru suggested they split up to buy what they liked. When Umaru was about to buy a dress, suddenly, she saw a new game machine, making her hesitate. But, Umaru made a decision. At this time, Taihei saw that Umaru wanted a lot of cheap clothes, and he noticed that Umaru had a new game set. The next morning, Taihei called Umaru to wake up for breakfast, because today was the start of the new semester. But, Umaru still didn't want to get up. Taihei told Umaru to eat quickly, because Abina was waiting for her. Unexpectedly, Umaru overslept, making Taihei angry. Finally, Umaru agreed to go to school, while Taihei had to go to the company to work. At this time, Alex's computer froze, so, he asked Taihei to help fix it. After that, Taihei continued to be busy with work. During lunch, everyone always saw Taihei bringing his own lunch. So, they thought it was Taihei's girlfriend who made it. But, Taihei said it was his little sister. So, they thought Taihei's sister was very capable. After Taihei finished his work, he had to go buy beef for Umaru. When he returned home, he saw Umaru sleeping soundly. So, Taihei woke Umaru up as usual, and he continued to cook for Umaru. At this time, Taihei told Umaru to go to bed early. But, she still wasn't sleepy. When Taihei just turned off the lights and went to bed, Umaru woke up. It turned out she was just pretending to sleep. She saw that Taihei was already asleep. So, Umaru took out her game to play. At this moment, Umaru discovered that she was out of cola. She realized that Taihei didn't buy any cola for her. So, she decided to go buy cola herself. Suddenly, Umaru began to feel scared, because she was afraid of encountering a murderer. But, Umaru was still determined to go outside. She was scared by a cat. At that moment, Umaru arrived at the convenience store. But, she noticed there were very few employees at night. After Umaru bought the cola, she ran back home. Umaru thought Taihei was still asleep. But, he had already woken up. And Taihei scolded Umaru for being out at night. The next morning, Umaru felt sleepy, because she stayed up late playing games last night. Today was Taihei's day off. So, he started to clean the house. Suddenly, he saw Umaru's bag of potato chips. He realized that Umaru was sneaking in some late-night gaming. After finishing the cleaning, he remembered how Umaru always hovered around him. So, he decided to take some time for himself. At that moment, Taihei was browsing the web and saw a recipe for chashu pork. So, he decided to try cooking it. But, the meat had to be simmered for 6 hours. So, Taihei decided to sit and wait. Suddenly, he fell asleep. When Taihei woke up, he saw that Umaru had come back. Taihei realized it was now 5 p.m. He remembered the pot of chashu pork. Umaru said that the stove had turned off automatically. While Taihei was working, Umaru boasted to him about her new game rewards. But, Taihei was not interested, because he had an important meeting tomorrow. This made Umaru upset. So, she continuously bothered Taihei. The next morning, Taihei decided to divide the room with a shower curtain, because he wanted both of them to have their own space. Umaru realized that this way she could comfortably play games. So, Umaru agreed, while Taihei thought he could work more efficiently. After that, Taihei went to buy a curtain to divide their room. In the evening, Umaru felt very bored. So, she secretly watched Taihei work. While Taihei also felt uneasy, because he was used to Umaru's noise. So, Taihei decided to take down the shower curtain. The next day, Umaru was playing games with Kiri. But, Kiri felt awkward when she saw Taihei. So, Umaru invited them to play the game of life with her. When the game just started, Umaru has turned into a comic artist and received 10 million yen. Next is Taihei. He has to choose to change his career, making him unsure of what to choose. At this moment, Umaru continuously receives 50 million. After that, she establishes her own country, while Taihei has to keep working in an office. Then, he changed to a chef. And Taihei opened a restaurant, while Kiri won first place in swimming. But, she was injured, so, she had to work very hard, which exhausted her health. Umaru and Taihei realized Kiri was too unlucky. Suddenly, Taihei decided to close the restaurant, because he wanted to spend more time with his family. But, Umaru said that his savings would run out. It turns out Taihei didn't want Kiri to lose alone. So, Kiri thanked Taihei, but accidentally, she broke Umaru's game console. The next morning is Umaru's birthday. So, she thinks about what to make Taihei buy for her. When Taihei wakes up, he realizes Umaru woke up very early today. At this moment, Umaru thinks Taihei is pretending to forget her birthday. But, he still doesn't care about Umaru, surprising her. Then, Umaru went to school with Abina. When they arrived, everyone gave Umaru many gifts. This made her very happy. At that moment, Kiri was shy about giving Umaru a gift. This made Umaru very happy. While everyone thought Kiri's gift was very strange. But, Umaru still didn't understand why Taihei forgot her birthday. She thought Taihei wanted to surprise her. So, Umaru immediately ran home, and she saw Taihei decorating for her birthday. This made Umaru very happy. Meanwhile, Taihei felt embarrassed, because he was caught by Umaru. The next morning, Umaru was still playing games. She asked Taihei to get her some cola. Then, she continued asking Taihei to get her some potato chips. He realized Umaru was getting lazier. Suddenly, Taihei saw a box on the floor. He thought it was trash. So Taihei threw it away. Umaru saw Taihei take out the trash. She immediately asked her brother to buy her some manga. This made Taihei angry. At that moment, Umaru couldn't find her box. This made her worried. It turned out that the box was for holding a Hatsune doll. But Taihei had already thrown it away. This shocked Umaru. Although she thought the box wasn't that important, Umaru saw her brother looking worried. So, she pretended to cry and blamed Taihei. This made him feel guilty. It turned out that Umaru wanted to be able to play games comfortably. By the evening, she woke up and didn't see Taihei anywhere. This made Umaru worried. Suddenly, Umaru realized Taihei was going to look for the box for her. When Taihei returned, she ran to hug Taihei. It turned out he couldn't find the box. So, he bought another doll for Umaru. This made Umaru touched. The next morning, Taihei realized the box wasn't important to Umaru. This made him angry. But she liked the doll Taihei bought for her. At that moment, Abina invited Umaru and Taihei because she had a discount coupon for a restaurant. This made her embarrassed. Then, they went to a ramen shop. While Taihei was worried that the dish was too greasy, Umaru was very excited because the ramen here was delicious. She could taste the flavor very rich. If there was a bottle of cola, it would be delicious. At that moment, Abina saw that Umaru was eating beautifully, while Taihei felt the noodles were too spicy. It turned out Umaru had tricked Taihei into ordering spicy ramen, so she could eat both kinds of ramen. After they finished eating, they felt the ramen was very delicious. So, Abina suggested they come back to eat again next time. At that moment, Taihei's colleague was having a hard time. So, he forced Taihei to drink beer with him. He didn't even let Taihei go home. Suddenly, he asked Taihei, "You're living with your girlfriend, right?" Because Taihei went home right after finishing. He never went out with colleagues. It turned out that people in the company had seen Taihei with beautiful girls. But Taihei said they were his younger sisters. However, Bomber didn't believe Taihei. So, he suggested going to Taihei's house. But Taihei immediately refused. However, Bomber insisted on following Taihei. So, he texted Umaru to let her know in advance. Unexpectedly, when they got home, they found Umaru sleeping. This shocked Bomber, because she was very cute. So Taihei tried to pull Bomber out of the house. Suddenly, Umaru woke up. She saw Bomber. This shocked Umaru, because she thought her brother's head had gotten bigger. It turned out Umaru was mistaken. At that moment, Bomber had gone home. It turned out he was Kiri's older brother. Suddenly, he wanted to carry Kiri. But she hit Bomber, because he was too noisy. The next day, Umaru went to an old-fashioned store with Silin. This excited her. So, they went into the store to look around. Umaru saw there were many cola-flavored candies here. This attracted her. At that moment, they were having fun looking at everything there. Silin asked Umaru to help her find a type of yogurt. This made her excited, because it was the type of yogurt her brother gave her. At that moment, they couldn't see the shopkeeper anywhere. It turned out the shopkeeper was an old lady who was hard of hearing. So, they had to call out really loud. The next morning, Taihei prepared lunch for Umaru to take to school. After that, he went to work. So, everything went on as usual for him. When Taihei finished work and came home, suddenly, he encountered a cat. So, he followed it. At that moment, he felt that this road was very familiar. And Taihei remembered his mother. She had a face very similar to Umaru's. So, Taihei decided to go home and cook something delicious for Umaru. At that moment, the weather had turned to winter. While Taihei was dreaming about cats, Umaru called him awake. Taihei saw that there was a lot of snow outside. So, he couldn't go to the supermarket. Umaru invited Taihei to play games. But, Taihei wanted to take out the heated table. This made Umaru excited. But, Taihei made her clean the room. After everything was cleaned up, they took out the heated table. This made Umaru very happy. She felt like she was in paradise there. So, she took out her game console. Suddenly, Taihei noticed Umaru had fallen asleep. Looking at her face, she looked very happy. Meanwhile, Abina was eating mandarin oranges at the heated table. Kiri and Silin were also sitting at the heated table with their brother. Soon, Christmas arrived. So, Umaru decorated the room in preparation for the Christmas holiday, because she was determined not to go outside, while Taihei and Bomber were still working overtime. This made Bomber exhausted, because their work was too much, and he wanted to buy a Santa costume. But, the section chief named Kanao arrived. She urged them to work. Kanao asked Taihei if he had any plans for today. But he had no plans at all. Because normally, Taihei would go home. It turned out the three of them were classmates. So, Taihei invited Kanao to hang out with them. But she declined, and she told Taihei to spend time with his family today. After that, Bomber invited Taihei to rent Santa costumes with him, while Kanao was preparing to celebrate Christmas alone. Suddenly, Taihei sent her a photo. This made her very happy. At that moment, Umaru was still waiting for Taihei to come home. But she waited a long time and still didn't see Taihei. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell. It turned out to be Taihei and Kiri. And she gave Umaru a gift. This made Umaru very happy. Meanwhile, Bomber returned but didn't see his younger sister anywhere. At this moment, Bomber had come to Taihei's house to celebrate New Year's Eve. They reminisced about the most memorable moments of the year. But Bomber kept getting hit by his sister. Umaru wanted to eat ramen. However, Abina had gone back to her hometown. Suddenly, they saw Silin on TV. Because she wanted to be the first to ring the bell at the shrine for the new year. At that moment, New Year's Eve was approaching. So, Bomber prepared food and beer for them. This made him very excited. But Taihei didn't drink because he had Umaru. Suddenly, Umaru brought potatoes and cola for them. It turned out she had prepared everything for New Year's Eve. This delighted them. Taihei saw that they were having a great time. Suddenly, Umaru fell asleep, and she dreamed of her memories from the past year. The next morning, Umaru continued playing games. Suddenly, Taihei seriously asked Umaru, "Do you remember what you promised?" It turned out she had promised to seriously clean her room next year. So, Taihei made Umaru fulfill her promise. After that, he invited Umaru to visit the shrine with him. They saw that it was very crowded there. So, they played the fortune drawing game together. Then, they both prayed together. At that moment, Umaru asked Taihei what he wished for. Taihei said that if you don't say your wish, it will be more effective. Suddenly, Umaru said, "This year, please take care of me more." And she made Taihei clean up for her. This made Taihei angry. The next morning, Kiri was learning to cook in the kitchen. This made Bomber curious. He didn't know what his sister was doing. It turned out Kiri was learning to make cookies. So, he thought Kiri was making cookies for him. Meanwhile, Kiri thought that Umaru would really like her cookies. This made Kiri happy. But Kiri burned the cookies. This made them charred. So, she had to make them again. When she just finished, unexpectedly, Bomber secretly ate Kiri's cookies. Because he thought Kiri was making cookies for him. This made Kiri angry. So, she hit Bomber. The next morning, Kiri was very happy. Seeing Umaru made her shy. When Kiri was about to give cookies to Umaru, she tripped and fell, causing the cookies to drop to the ground. Umaru realized that Kiri was making cookies for her. So, she picked up a cookie and ate it. This surprised everyone. In the evening, Taihei came home from work. Umaru said that Kiri had made cookies for him. But he thought they were chocolate. Meanwhile, Kiri realized she had taken the wrong bag of cookies. At that moment, Abina invited Umaru to make chocolate with her. This excited Umaru, because she also wanted to eat chocolate. After that, Umaru also invited Taihei to help them. This made Abina shy. Suddenly, Taihei noticed that Abina had 2 refrigerators. And her kitchen was very beautiful. This delighted him. So, Taihei began to guide them in making chocolate. And he told them to put their feelings into the chocolate. This made Umaru curious. She didn't know who Abina wanted to give the chocolate to. Finally, they completed their task. When Abina wrote, "Dear," on the chocolate, it made her feel embarrassed. Because next, she had to write the name of the person she wanted to give it to. But she heard that Taihei didn't like chocolate. So, she wrote her own name. At that moment, Umaru was very free. Suddenly, Silin called her. It turned out she discovered a new anime series. This made them very happy. After that, they visited the shopping mall together. Suddenly, Silin saw Alex. So, she quickly avoided him. At that moment, both of them bought the anime they liked. Silin said that he also liked anime. Umaru asked if they watched together. But Silin always watched alone, because her brother always thought she was a well-behaved little sister. Umaru realized that was why Silin ran away from the contest. When Silin learned that Umaru also had an older brother, It made her excited. But Umaru's brother always just cooked. So, Silin told her to cook with her brother. After that, she would also come to like cooking. In the evening, when Taihei was about to cook, Umaru offered to help him. This surprised Taihei. The next morning, Kiri was looking for Kamaru. But Taihei said that Kamaru had gone out. This made her worried, because she was shy around Taihei. This left both of them at a loss for words. Taihei just hoped Umaru would come back soon. Suddenly, Kiri apologized to Taihei about the bag of cookies. This surprised Taihei. He realized that Kiri had come here to apologize to him. At that moment, Umaru didn't dare to enter the house. Because today she had bought a lot of games. Suddenly, she saw Taihei eating with Kiri. This made her very happy. Because with Kiri there, she wouldn't get scolded. The next morning, Umaru discovered that her pudding jar was empty. This made Umaru angry. So, Taihei decided to investigate who ate the pudding. But Umaru said she wasn't the one who ate it, because she had overslept. So, she accused Taihei of eating her pudding. She said that she would never eat pudding before eating potatoes. Taihei realized that Umaru wasn't lying. At this moment, she assumed that Taihei had eaten her pudding. But he had come home from work too late. So, he didn't remember what he had done. Taihei decided to make 2 new jars of pudding to determine who had eaten it. This excited Umaru. When she just took a bite, she suddenly remembered. Last night, Taihei had come home and saw Umaru sleeping, and he had called Umaru to wake up to eat the pudding. Taihei promised that he would make pudding for Umaru in the morning. So, she realized she had eaten it. This made Taihei angry. At this moment, Umaru was sick, because she had played too many games. This made her have a severe headache. It turned out that Umaru was just pretending to be sick, because she wanted her brother to pamper her for a while. Suddenly, Taihei had to go to work. This made Umaru anxious. Taihei said that this illness was something she had to deal with herself, because she was constantly playing games while running the air conditioner. This annoyed Umaru. So, she decided to play more games, to weaken her body further. Unexpectedly, even Umaru's viruses were lazy. So, she quickly got better. Unexpectedly, it was Taihei's turn to get sick. This amused Umaru. So, she called Taihei's company. She informed them that her brother was sick. At this point, it was Umaru's turn to take care of Taihei. After that, she went out to buy food for Taihei. It turned out that Umaru was seeking revenge, because Taihei had left her home alone when she was sick. When she returned home, she realized Taihei had a very high fever. This made Umaru start to worry. She realized that her virus had infected Taihei. So, she decided to eliminate them. By the afternoon, Taihei had woken up. He realized that Umaru had taken care of him. So, he thanked Umaru. But that evening, Taihei didn't cook steak. This made Umaru uncomfortable. Taihei noticed that she wouldn't eat bell peppers. So, he scolded Umaru to force her to eat. But Umaru only took a bite. The next morning, Umaru was worried that Taihei would put bell peppers in her bento again. At lunchtime, she discovered that Taihei had mixed bell peppers into the meat. Abina realized that making this dish in the morning had taken a lot of effort. So, she decided to eat it. That evening, Umaru scolded Taihei for mixing bell peppers into the meat. He thought she wouldn't eat it. Little did he know, Umaru had eaten it all, because she knew Taihei had put a lot of effort into cooking for her. The next day, Umaru accidentally knocked over a bottle of cola. Unintentionally, she broke the router. This made her unable to connect to the internet, which made Umaru anxious. She couldn't even play her games. She felt like she was isolated from the world. When Taihei and Bomber returned, they saw Umaru in despair. They realized the router was broken. So, they played cards with Umaru. This made her cheerful again. The next morning, Umaru went to the internet cafe. It turned out that since Taihei wouldn't fix the router, she had to come here. Umaru realized her room was very small. So, she felt like this was her secret base. She could even comfortably read manga and drink soda. Suddenly, she discovered that there was a massage chair here. This made her feel very happy. But, Umaru realized that there was no scolding from Taihei here. So, she decided to go home early. When she got home, she felt very relaxed. It turned out that 10 years ago, Taihei was an outstanding student. So, Bomber admired him a lot. Meanwhile, Kanao always teased Bomber, and always invited Taihei to hang out with her. At this moment, the three of them went to the game room. Taihei found the stuffed animals here very cute. So, Bomber guided them on how to grab the stuffed animals. Since the heads of the stuffed animals were heavier, grabbing the head would increase the success rate. Unexpectedly, Bomber failed, which made him angry. It was Kanao's turn. She noticed a stuffed animal was about to fall. So, she would push it down. Unexpectedly, Kanao also failed. Then it was Taihei's turn, and he managed to grab 3 stuffed animals, which surprised them all. So, Taihei shared them with everyone. After that, Taihei went home. At this moment, Umaru was a very obedient girl. So, Taihei gave her his stuffed animal. Back to the present, Umaru had completely changed, but she still kept the stuffed animal Taihei had given her. The next morning, Umaru wanted Taihei to buy pizza for her, but he told Umaru she needed to eat more vegetables. Suddenly, Abina arrived. It turned out she wanted to give them rice, which made Taihei very happy. But Abina's stomach growled, making her embarrassed. Taihei realized Abina was hungry, so he invited her to have lunch with them. It turned out that if Abina was there, Umaru wouldn't be able to snack. After that, Taihei went into the kitchen to cook, while Umaru was really wanting to eat pizza. But she still tried to act normal. Abina felt very happy, because she always ate alone. So, she really enjoyed eating with everyone. At this point, Taihei had finished cooking. Umaru saw that all the dishes were vegetables, which disappointed her, because she wanted to eat pizza. However, she found Abina's rice very delicious. Finally, they finished eating. Suddenly, Abina spotted a pizza flyer. So, she also wanted to eat pizza, which made her embarrassed, since Taihei thought she was still hungry. Umaru told Taihei to order pizza, making both of them very happy. The next morning, Taihei had an important meeting, while Umaru went out to buy snacks. But every snack she saw looked tempting. So, she organized a vote in her mind. However, she still didn't know which one to choose. So, they ended up arguing. Suddenly, her good personality wanted to choose a healthy snack. By the afternoon, when Taihei came home from work, she gifted him a bag of snacks, which made Taihei very happy. He thought Umaru knew his meeting had been successful. Unexpectedly, Umaru bought snacks for Taihei to comfort him for failing the meeting. The next morning, Umaru shared this good news with Abina. So, they decided to celebrate together. They went to a restaurant in the shopping mall. Abina saw many delicious ice cream flavors, but she was shy and didn't dare to eat, because she was afraid people would think she was eating too much. So, she ordered the same dish as Umaru. Taihei thought their ice cream cups were too big, but Umaru told the girls that eating like that was normal. Thus, they began to eat, which made Abina very delighted, because the ice cream was delicious. They quickly finished 2 large cups of ice cream, which shocked Taihei, as both wanted to order another portion. At this time, the rainy season had arrived, which made Umaru very sad, because her potato was soggy. Taihei realized Umaru was looking for an excuse to be lazy. Suddenly, he noticed Kiri was also acting strangely, as she always got stressed during the rainy season. So, Taihei encouraged them to cheer up, and invited them to the beach when the rain stopped. This delighted Kiri, and he would ask Bomber to drive them. Taihei didn't know who Bomber was, because Bomber was a nickname Taihei gave him. Umaru realized that going to the beach meant she could eat ice cream, which made her very excited. At this time, summer had arrived, making Umaru very happy. So, she invited Abina to go eat ice cream with her, which thrilled both of them. After that, Silin continued to compete with Umaru, because both were very skilled, causing the arcade manager great distress. Then, Umaru invited Silin to have ice cream with her, and she showed Silin how to lick the lid of the ice cream container. At this moment, Umaru was watching TV about emperor penguins. She thought they were very happy, because they always got to eat ice cream, which made Kiri want ice cream as well. Suddenly, Umaru won a prize in her ice cream stick. That evening, Taihei made her shaved ice, which made her very happy. Suddenly, Taihei noticed that she was secretly buying a freezer container, which made him angry. The next morning, Umaru saw a car advertisement on TV, which excited her. She imagined Taihei driving her to school, while she could still sleep, making her even more thrilled. So, Umaru told her brother to buy a car to take her to school. But he always took the subway. Suddenly, Umaru reminded him of his promise to go to the beach, surprising Taihei, because it was very rare for Umaru to show interest in going out. So, he decided to buy a car. While the salesperson kept questioning him, Umaru picked out a car. Taihei thought this car seemed a bit too big. Umaru said he could wait for everyone to come along. It turned out Umaru just wanted to be able to sleep comfortably. But the price of the car was 3 million yen. The salesperson then suggested Taihei take it for a test drive. So, he took it for a spin, which excited Umaru greatly. She arranged all the seats and rolled around on them. There was even a TV in the car, which thrilled Umaru. So, she imagined going everywhere with this car. Suddenly, Taihei felt anxious, because driving in reality was completely different from when he practiced. Seeing a cat in front, Taihei became scared, which made Umaru worry as well. So, she suggested taking Bomber's car, which confused Bomber, because Taihei had gotten a perfect score on his driving test, and he had promised to go to the beach with Taihei. Meanwhile, Umaru was very excited, which made Taihei very happy. So, their current task was to pack their things. After Taihei finished preparing everything, he told Umaru to sleep early, because they would set off the next morning. Umaru felt that Taihei was also very enthusiastic. The next morning, everyone gathered in front of Umaru's house, which made everyone very excited. Suddenly, Bomber arrived, shocking Kiri, because Bomber was Takeshi, her older brother. This made Kiri very anxious, as she feared she would be discovered. Fortunately, Bomber did not recognize her, because he saw Umaru, which shocked him as he didn't know who she was. It turned out this was the first time Bomber saw Umaru in outdoor mode. So, he thought Taihei had 2 younger sisters. After that, they started to set off. Meanwhile, Kiri didn't understand why Komaru wasn't going with them, since Komaru had been very excited about going to the beach before. So, she thought Komaru was sick. At this point, they arrived at the beach, which made them all very excited. The group began to explore the area together, making them very happy. Umaru saw many delicious foods. So, they decided to eat together. They found the food here very tasty. But, Bomber was too busy checking out girls. So, he got hit by Kiri. While everyone was enjoying the beach, Kiri asked Umaru, "Is Komaru doing well?" When Umaru was about to tell her that she was Komaru, suddenly, Bomber yelled, because he was being chased by birds. At that moment, Kiri said Bomber was her brother, which surprised Umaru. It turned out he didn't recognize Kiri, because she had changed her hairstyle. Kiri shared that Bomber always did silly things. So, she always hit him. This made her isolated from everyone. But, since she became friends with Umaru and Komaru, she was very happy. So, Umaru continued to take Kiri around to explore. Umaru mentioned that Komaru had something to do and couldn't come, which reassured Kiri, because Umaru wasn't sick. Suddenly, Bomber said his sister really liked fish, but his sister didn't like him, which surprised Kiri. Just as Kiri was about to tell Bomber the truth, Abina said that no sister would be unhappy to meet her brother, making him feel like Abina was an angel, and he thought Abina was better than his sister, which made Kiri angry and hit him. At that moment, they had been swimming in the sea, which excited Umaru, but they were then pushed ashore by the waves. Suddenly, they encountered Silin, who was also at the beach with her brother on a yacht. Silin suddenly wanted to compete with Umaru, but Umaru suggested they all play together today, which pleased Silin. So, they began to enjoy this beach trip. Taihei saw his sister playing, which made him very happy. By afternoon, they returned, but all 3 were exhausted and fell asleep. The next day, Taihei thought that going on a trip would help Umaru change. So, he continued to invite Umaru to go to the mountains. However, she refused, and she went back to being lazy like every day, making Taihei buy her comics, which made him angry. Today's video ends here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to support Oni-chan in the next videos. Thank you for watching. Love you all.